So the times, they are changing, meaning, among other things, that we now have live music, lively live music. Inamique and Miguel, gracias por su presencia. This is an interesting time of year because we're getting darker. And even though it's not like Seattle, there is that feeling that, oh geez, I don't like it when the sun is gone by 6. And I don't like it, the sun hasn't come up yet at 7. So there's that. There's also something called holidays. Holy days. And we'll light candles when it's almost time to do so, but this is the last night of Hanukkah. And it's one of many traditional ways of addressing the fact of darkness, building fires. The other aspect of this time of the year is that it is a family time. Meaning, some of us spend time with our family, but all of us remember these times of the year in times past and have the feelings, sometimes with nostalgia, sometimes with a little sadness, sometimes with kind of an inner happiness, remembering what it was, how the grandeur of those times in times past. And we are going to be celebrating that this year. Apropos, though, to this family part, because families are mixed things. I mean, in some sense, we all have one. Almost everybody I know has a mother. Some of us have fathers that we remember favorably. A lot of us have fathers we don't remember so favorably, and some of us don't know who they were. But we still are part of a family. And we're going to have a talk about that today. But first we're going to have the opening prayer and healing by Robert Brown, and then a song, and then the talk. So Robert?
Well, welcome everybody. Maureen and I are back from California. It's our second full day here. And pleased to be here, believe me, pleased as punch to be here. I'm going to start off with a short prayer, then I've got a reading about healing, and we'll then go into a couple of minutes of silent meditation. First of all, I invite you to relax, close your eyes, just settle down into that seat, take a deep, deep centering breath, and join me in consciousness and knowing that there is only one power and presence in the universe and in our lives. We are one with it each and every moment of our lives. There's never any separation, never has been, and there never will be. And tonight we're meeting here in community, in spiritual community. And I give great thanks for this opportunity to pray together, to sing together, to listen together, and to elevate our consciousness together. And I release my words into the law of mind, knowing they are done as I have said them. And together we signify our agreement by saying together, and so it is. So now I've got a reading from Ernest Holmes. Those of you who are die-hard in the wool Science of Mind people know Ernest, of course, wrote the book Science of Mind, which constitutes the textbook of our spiritual communities. He wrote in a second book, Living the Science of Mind, in which he explained a lot of what was very obtuse in the original book. The belief that we do not have the ability to heal arises out of the mistaken idea that our power does the healing, or that the intellect does the healing. All that the will and the intellect could do is to behold or watch the process. The mind fixes its gaze steadfastly upon the principle, and then declares that this principle is operative in human affairs, and particularly in the affairs of the one being treated. There is but one healer. This is the Spirit of truth. There is but one life principle. This is God in us. There is but one final law. This is the law of good. There is but one ultimate impulsion. The impulsion is love. That which really does the healing can never fluctuate, can never change in its nature. It is not more one day and less the next. It is at this moment absolutely all there is, and it ever is ever available. We must forever rid ourselves of the idea that it is the personal person, personal man or woman, who does the healing. Principle operates irrespective of personal opinion. The Divine Spirit is the only actor, the true Savior, the all in all, and is now manifesting itself. Being all in all, it has no opposition, no competition, no otherness. I ask you now to join me in just a couple of minutes of silent meditation and reflect on healing. Reflect on healing in your family, in your family of origin, in your family of association, in your spiritual family. The talk is going to be about family healing. So let's reflect on that in our silent minds for just a couple of minutes. Now I invite you to open your eyes again and come back to the room. And we'll hear again from the Beatles as interpreted by Miguel and Inamique with the song My Sweet Lord.
Well, it's great to see everybody. This is wonderful to be back in Nahihi after such a long time. Seemed like forever. Can you see my face? And what Robert and Tim said, I'm here to talk to you about family healing. I'm very excited about it. As all things, you got to be careful what you ask for. I started off and I thought, you know, my family, my personal family has had a lot of issues around alcoholism, drug abuse, anger management, as I call it. And so I asked Spirit, I said, I'd like to heal this, even though my father's dead, I'd like to heal this somehow. And as Spirit would have it, I got a call from Centers for Spiritual Living, and they said, would you like to affiliate? I'm a minister of religious science through Emerson. And I thought about it, okay, I'll affiliate. Then I can basically be part of the CSL family. So they said, well, you have to take certain classes. One of these classes was a psychology class. I thought, well, this is interesting. It'll be fun. Yeah. This is going to be fun. Well, my undergraduate degree is in psychology from UCLA. So I thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake, very easy. And so I thought, I'll enjoy this. And I thought, well, another reason to take it is to get in touch with the new methodology. And the new methodology, really, it has evolved a lot. And the evolution of family therapy, which is also called relationship therapy, has changed enormously. I know some of you may be thinking about Freud. Well, Freud had a different kind of, he was thought of as the founder of psychology, but you laid on the couch, he was out of sight. you drug up the past, you're laying there and complaining about something that happened to you. Oh, I'm such a victim. This, what we call rehearsing and cursing and nursing, I'm the victim routine. And it was always something out there. Oh, mom or dad, repressed sexuality. That was Freud. Now things have moved and changed a lot since Freud. And I think what we have to do is we have to understand everything evolves. Relationships evolve. And Ernest Holmes, I would quote, he said, "We all look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible." And science and religion, I think that we have a coming together of family therapy and of religious science, what we call positive prayer treatment, and I'll go into that in a second. But the things that are the same, responsibility. In religious science, we're responsible for our lives. We are responsible, not somebody else. And at this point, we don't blame someone else. Family therapy doesn't blame somebody in the family. No. We look at relationships in the family. And it's in the now. We don't live in the past. We live in the now. So also, we're proactive. Ernest said we're open at the top. And we treat and we move our feet, meaning we do prayer, but we're active. So I wanted to give you a little quote from Mark Twain. He said, my father was an amazing man. The older I got, the smarter he got. And who makes the most money from Father's Day? The therapist. But Ernest said about healing, he said, man's life in reality is spiritual and mental. And until one's thought is healed, no form of cure will be permanent. We know, too, that to the degree in which we're able to see a perfect person, he or she will appear. We feel that the spiritual or real person is perfect. We seek to uncover this perfection. And that's what we see. We practitioners and ministers, if we don't see it in ourselves, we go to them and they see the perfection. They uncover. And that's why we say healing is revealing. We're revealing the perfection in us. So part of that healing in psychology, they talk about the subconscious. And they say we're bringing the subconscious to the conscious awareness, to the mind. Well, we know there's only one mind, God's mind, which is your mind, which is my mind. We're all interwoven in one mind. And the healing occurs in the mind. So we can change our beliefs. And we are free to do that. If a belief is limiting you, just remember, you can release it. You have the tools to do that. So instead of blaming mom or dad, you can take responsibility. Now, Virginia Satir, she is the psychologist who is thought of as the mother of family therapy. She said, all people possess the capacity for growth and transformation, as well as the ability to continue their education throughout life. What a great statement. I mean, to me, that's Ernest Holmes. He would have said that. Because Ernest was always saying, we're open at the top, we're evolving, we're taking the next step toward our evolution. And one of the things, I had a minister I used to see in Portland, Oregon, many years ago, Mary Mammon Morrissey. And she came home one day and her second grader came up and said, Mommy, is there something on the back of my shirt? She said, well, let me look, honey. I don't see anything. Oh, what happened? The teacher said, shame on me. And we don't shame anybody. We don't blame anybody. There's no shame on us. We heal ourselves. Now, some of you, I'm sure most of you are familiar with family interventions. Interventions where the whole family comes together and supports the family. And the Hawaiians call it ho'oponopono. You may be aware, I know you've used ho'oponopono before. And different rituals. Like when I was a kid, Christmas was a very important time, and we read scripture. My father would make fudge candy, and we would have oyster stew. Now, don't tell me why oyster stew, living in the Midwest, it was...
We did also.
You did. Yeah, it was something, a Midwestern thing. So, families are described by their members, and we look at family, and I'm going to have a workshop, and we're going to talk about genomes. A genome is like genealogy, and you write out the different people in your family tree, and you're going to look at characteristics in that. You're going to look at these characteristics. I mean, families are a great place where there's a lot of power control and nurturing change, nurturing development, values, ethics. My family came from English and German. The religion was Lutheran and Catholicism. The language is spoken, you know, and we had certain value system and ethics from that background. Just like I asked them, how do you show love? Because my mother never said, I love you. And I said, what? I don't understand that. And she said, well, my parents never said it to me. That's not how we show love. We show love by creating things. We make your clothes, we crochet, we knit, we cook, we do all of this for you. That's how we show love. And I thought, well, that's interesting because my father was very different. I asked him one day, why can't you say I love you? No, not in his vocabulary. His way of showing love was pull out $1 or a $5 and lay it on you. He was what he used to call walking around money. You had to have walking around money in your pocket. He had a consciousness of prosperity. My mother did not, but my father he always had money. It was his consciousness, but that's how he showed love. So in doing this process called genograms, I started to look at, okay, does somebody have a musical talent? Yes. Does someone have talents in other languages? How about politics? And I started going through the family chart and doing that. Medical history, it's a good thing to do your genogram and look up, you know, because there were some inherited diseases in my family. So all of this, what happened was, I thought, oh, this is easy to do, and then I did my own family. And for a while, it really crushed me because of the alcoholism, the verbal and physical abuse. And I thought, how am I ever going to heal this? Well, I started to doing the genome, and I realized, oh, even from the Civil War, the men in the family went off to war. They were very much in support of the government. And when they came back, they were not the same. My grandfather was in World War I in France. He was a sergeant. He had a horrible temper. The least little sound would send him into a rage, and he would hit things and break things. And he was so angry, and he used alcohol to calm down. And my father was the same way. He was on the first LST, which is a ship that landed at Omaha Beach in Normandy. And he was also at Iwo Jima. He used to go up and down the floor and be unable to sleep except for alcohol. And part of that was he survived and thousands of people did not. And so I realized in doing this, I had compassion. I had compassion for him. I did a Taizé ceremony 2 weeks ago. Taizé is named after a city in France, and it's a contemplative, quiet ceremony for peace. And one of the paths to the divine in Buddhism is compassion. And for the first time in my life, I felt enormous compassion for my father and my grandfather. The other paths, the Christian path, is love and forgiveness. And the New Thought path is healing and power and use of the mind. So we use the mind to heal ourselves, and we use these processes that we're given to change, because we move and we have our being in the mind, in the one. So I give great gratitude for my father. I give great gratitude for my grandfather and for all the men that suffered through different wars and all the pain that they brought with them. And I did another technique in addition to compassion. It's called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. And what you do, you take a memory, a particularly painful memory, you go back, you change the memory. And so I went back to a time when my father was beating on my 2-year-old brother. Well, being the oldest daughter, I was supposed to care for my younger siblings, and I couldn't. And that memory just took a hold of me for years. I felt so guilty. And what I did, I went back in the memory, and I said, okay, I'm not a 4-year-old, I'm me. And I'm going to stand up to him, and I did. I said, stop hitting my baby brother. I love him. We love you. You can stop. We understand. And that new memory freed me. Freed me. So I barely remember the old memory. I have a new memory. The other thing you can do is look at all the roles in your family, all the people in your family. What role did you play? I know my brothers and sister told Robert I was the bossy one. Well, I was the oldest daughter. In business they call that delegating. But I had to take care of the younger siblings, and that was very important. So the techniques you can use in family therapy, I'll get into it more in the workshop. The workshop's going to be January 17th, and it's a Friday. Do I have that right? 14th, 21st? 14th and the 21st. And we're going to do our genograms. And we're going to look into some of these touchy issues. We're going to practice some different techniques in psychology. And we're going to bring into the now. We're going to stay in the now. We can visit the past, but we're going to stay in the now. We're going to reveal the perfection in each of us. And I've said this before, each of us is the divine in an amazing disguise. And we don't always know it, but we are the beloved of our beloved. So, just one more little story. When I was little, my mother had a big piece of paper, and it was a big tree. It was a tree of life. And it had the names of all my ancestors going to great-grandmother and great-great-grandmother, all the way up. And they were in the higher areas of the leaves and coming down. I was at the root. Well, over the years, those on top are gone from the tree like leaves. They have been lifted up into heaven. And I too have moved up the trunk and into the main part of the tree and moving further myself. And I see that family tree for celebration. I see it for thankfulness. Thank you for the tree. Thank you for all the people that came before and took care of all of us. And I just, in closing, want to encourage you do your family tree. Go ahead and look at it, and we'll look at some of what we think of as negative versus positive attributes, and we can create some new traditions. So thank you, and right now I'd like you to just, where you are, take a deep breath, and just repeat after me. I am healed.
I am healed.
I am one with Spirit.
I am one with Spirit.
I am lovable.
I am lovable.
So it is.
So it is.
Thank you.
The first morning, blackbird has spoken, like the first word. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the streaming, fresh from the word.
So it's the time for Thanksgiving, for gratitude. So we give thanks, knowing that every breath we take is that life of Spirit breathing in through and as us. Every step we take is Spirit walking as us. That we get to create how Spirit experiences this world. And so we give great thanks. We give great thanks for every breath, for the money that flows in and through us. And we give great thanks for this Center of Spiritual Living. And so this is an opportunity to give in part our thanks through our monetary donations to support this place. So it is.
Anything come up for any of you from what she was saying? Well, for me, it was like a review of my whole life in many ways, in different aspects, from certainly alcoholism and drugs and wars, and my brother in Vietnam, and my uncles in Iwo Jima and other places, and a story that has existed in a certain way, and the revelations that have come as I became more aware of it wasn't them. What I carry with me is me, and it's mine to heal. So that message is powerful. Very grateful that you've been doing such good work. And I'm looking forward to your workshop and things to follow. Announcements. We will have here on Christmas Day kind of a get-together, informal. We'll sing songs, we'll probably eat food that we shouldn't eat, and we'll have just kind of be available for a couple hours, 2 to 10, 12, midnight. What'd she say? Yes, she's already recovering from the trauma of today. And then on New Year's Eve, we're going to have what we call a burning bowl. And this is a process of kind of reconsidering the past year and being prepared to move into the next phase, and a time to acknowledge what's really been happening, not from the point of view of he or she done this or that and it's bad and they shouldn't do that, and I wish they wouldn't do this, and wasn't it horrible? No, from the prospect of what have I been experiencing, where has my growth been, and what is calling me as the next kind of step? What intentions do I want to have? Not to try to fix everything. It's not about fixing, but it's about allowing. Yes, Baki, you get them. Absolutely. Tell them they shouldn't do that. Disturbs your tranquil, otherwise perfect sense of being. Yes, Pocky's after him. And we're going to have a full schedule in the new year. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We look forward to more sessions like this. We're going to have a planning session about what kind of services to be including we want to have something in Spanish. Queremos crear algo totalmente en español para que las personas que son español hablantes pueden participar más plenamente. So we're hoping to do, we're having that as part of our intentions, and the question is when and how and who and what and where.
Hi, everybody. I'm Deborah Reeves, and I'm so happy that this holiday season we are taking on Poco a Poco as a Christmas fundraiser. Poco a Poco is a nonprofit organization here that feeds the orphan children with kidney failure in the villages of San Pedro, Mezcala, and several other villages. They're feeding 400 people, young children, a week, Monday through Friday at this time. Plus, they're teaching jewelry making and sewing to the mothers. And we just received a new large building in Mezcala, and we are now, in the last 2 weeks, have started a special needs program, which I am so thrilled. I get to work an hour and a half every week with these loving, loving souls that are either autistic, 3 are blind. They can't speak, so no problem that I can't speak Spanish. I Google Translate with their parents. So the Christmas Project originally started as fundraising for shoes for these 400 children, which are Crocs and are under $5 a pair, and sports equipment for their basketball and soccer field they have now. And they were gifted, someone gifted all the money for shoes. So now, due to the fact that we started the special needs program, we are asking for a money donation for either sports equipment, which they need, or arts and crafts supplies, crayons, coloring books, Play-Doh. So I have a basket over on the entrance table that says Poco a Poco. Please open your hearts and contribute to these loving, loving children. Thank you.
So just a reminder that we have a website. I'm the webmaster, and it's cslchapala.com. And if you're not signed up for the newsletter, you can go on there and sign up for the newsletter. There's also a page where you could donate monthly, so you'd have to bring cash. That's what I do. I donate monthly through the website. So check that out. We do post as soon as David gives me the link for the tape. We put those services on the website also. So thank you.
Knows that. So 2,500 years ago or so, there was a successful rebellion, and the Jewish patriots took back Jerusalem, and they had a little problem though, because they wanted to celebrate, and they didn't have any oil to put in the candles. So the candles then were made with, there were little burning oil pit things, so they didn't have the oil. And miraculously, they had a little bit of oil that lasted for the full 8 days, and this is the 8th night.
Why did they need 8 days?
Because that was what was going to become the way to do
Because
it.
it took 8 days to make this holy oil. And that's the only oil you could use in the menorahs at Hanukkah time. So the miracle is that they lit the oil for 1 night, but it lasted for 8. And that was enough time for them to make new holy oil.
So we have a song that's, feel free to sing along, it's pretty catchy. Go ahead.
So this is a Hebrew song that we, or prayer, that we sing before lighting the Hanukkah candles. And the candles are put in the menorah this way, if I was facing you. So the first night, second night, third night, but they're lit going in the opposite direction.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. Sivanu, Lahadlik Shel Hanukkah.
The miracle is happening.
Miracle.
And we're not allowed, we have to let these burn totally down.
Oh.
We're not allowed to blow them out ahead of time. Correct, Robert?
Right?
Happy Hanukkah.
We have.
Please join me in the closing prayer, closing our eyes. Just anchoring into the love and the light of Source, present right here, right now. And we trust and know this is a day of celebrating this year, all our growth, celebrating moving into the new year, celebrating releasing pain around family traumas in the new year, and rising in consciousness of unconditional love and forgiveness worldwide, and most especially in our hearts and minds. I say thank you, Source. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our brother, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
With